Hey guys, what's up? Wow, E-Rock, you're in there, not sure. Christine, Trinity, what's up? Wolfie, Divine, Candace, good to see everybody. Guys, I'm just going to jump into it today. Again, I'm going to try to keep this morning report kind of short, so I'm not going to be looking at the chat till I get done with the information here, and then I'll see if you guys got any questions at the end, and we'll go from there. And I'll do a live stream later on tonight, late this evening, probably around 8 or 9. So we'll get into it here. Okay, guys. What do we got going on? Well, human resonance is just, it's kind of what we've been seeing. I mentioned this horizontal feature anomaly here in my last video. And it's still there, but it looks like it's stopped now as we went further along in time. Now, I don't know what caused that. That is about a 9-hour event there, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, about 11 hours it looks like. So, I mean, it's significant, especially when we're talking about that kind of time frame. But yeah, so if you were feeling kind of strange or something for the, yesterday, that could be it. Could be ringing in your ears, any of that kind of stuff. So, just wanted to touch on that real quick. Let me check my stream health. Just so everybody, before I get out of here, let's yeah. Is the sound and everything okay? Hey, Hilly, what's up? Everybody hear me? Before I keep moving. Okay, cool. Thanks, Arizona. Thanks to all my mods in there, too. Really appreciate it. Third time, Daniel. Good to see you guys. Indigo. Okay. Get moving again here. Alright, now we got, solar X-ray flux. We've had a couple small little flares, but it's nothing to really be too concerned about. Nothing really much going on there. Again, this here happened when we were getting this little hit on our geomagnetic field. And I think that's what caused that. I'm not really sure. It was doing some weird things right there, guys. I showed it to you in the live stream that I had to pull down because the sound was all messed up on it, on the upload. But anyway, that's what happened during that. And it was really weird. We were getting fast solar wind, and it would, almost stop for, 2 minutes. It would go real slow. And our bow shock would actually flatten out almost and push towards the sun. And then it would go right back in 2 minutes. I've never seen it do that. It's kind of like, like I said, a jet engine. Just pretend you're in a jet. You're coming down for a landing, and you got a wall in front of you. You hit the ground, and you're still going too fast. What do? You put everything in reverse, and it kind of stops it, right? So it's kind of what I'm talking about there. But then the solar wind actually did, obviously will win that war. And so it started blowing the right, fast the right direction again. But that did happen. At first, I thought it was a time skip, and it wasn't. I wish I still had that video, and wish it wasn't all screwed up. I can't even go back and get the archive data on the tool because that tool doesn't archive data for us to see. It's stupid. Anyway, you got the first look at the sun here. We got some coronal holes opening up, and we're gonna have to keep an eye on those. This one here looks like it's pretty significant. Remember your parallax effect, though. Okay. In other words, on a sphere, when we're looking at it two-dimensionally like this, it's going to look smaller than what it actually is. The closer you get to the edge of it. Now, as it moves in, if this stays the same size, it will actually be bigger than what this looks like. You got, your sunspots here. It's like we're in a cycle right here. As one rotates off, another one rotates in. And, that's been doing that the past few times. It's kind of strange, the timing of it. But we got this one here too, right in the middle of it. And, these are pretty stable. The polarity of them at the surface, it isn't jumping around. Okay? You got a definite positive and negative side to it. And there's a connection line there, which is why you see the loop. Okay? So when those move closer and closer together and they start intermingling, that's when it starts flaring, because it's like shorting out, basically. Okay? Without going into some big, long, detailed explanation. But as this rotates in, this is significantly sized. Okay? So, our X-ray flux will probably go up. This here. The baseline will probably move up. And then any other extra flaring we get, it'll push us up into these higher flare levels. ACE data, a big blackout time frame here. I'm not quite sure if that was just the data blockage from the line of sight from the satellite. That's a pretty long duration for that to be happening there. So there might have been something else going on. Not really sure. But once it came back on, this is what we get. And, the first readings right after it comes back online, I don't necessarily trust. But then it did the same thing over here. So this is probably a real reading. But I want to draw you guys' attention to this. The range that we're looking at, okay? 200 to 350. This thing is done dropped out low again. And, this will be the third event like this if this continues. And, that's when we were getting the red auroras, because that, the reaction of the particles hitting the oxygen molecules in our atmosphere caused it to be a slower reaction, and that's what produced the red color. Normally it would be green when it hits the oxygen molecules in our atmosphere. But we've had events here, back-to-back events, and this will be the third one, of low solar wind getting through on the poles, and we're seeing those red aurora. I'm not sure if we're seeing them yet on this one, but the last two times we did. The pink ones, that's a different thing, okay? That's nitrogen molecules that the charged particles are interacting with. And those are actually closer to the surface. So, usually it takes a little bit more to get down to that. Enlil model. Again, this is the one that changes constantly as it gets new data, which I'm okay with, because, it's really what we should be expecting. It's better for us that way, because that way the model can stay accurate as it gets closer to us. Now, I don't trust it out here, though, right? I mean, that's just too far out. It's always wrong. It always changes. But I do trust this. It's only a day and a half out. So if I drag this over here to where this is happening, you can see here on the spiral graphs that, yeah, we're getting some, increased weather there. That's density. And you see the speed drop out. Now, but look at this. Okay? So now it's picking up something now that's saying here in about 4 or 5 days, we should have a higher speed event and not so much a density event. Notice how these things kind of did this, okay? That looks to be almost like two separate things that came off the sun. You see that? And this happens a lot, like when the sun will shoot something off from a coronal hole or whatever, and then the normal solar wind, as it spirals, will catch up to it, or this will catch up to it, and they kind of combine, and it makes them both stronger. See, watch what happens right here. See how that increased? Okay, and we're talking about here on the chart. It's pretty high. We'll start seeing this more and more as we get into closer and closer to solar maximum. Okay? But, because we're not used to seeing this right now. Usually it's this stuff that we see for the past year or so. But we're going to start seeing this more often, just so everybody knows. It's not going to get any less intense anymore. It's just going to be what it is. And the roar, I'm not going to waste your time on that because we're not seeing much there. The electron flux is still, jumping around. It should still kind of look like this magnometer graph here, but it doesn't, obviously, so stuff's happening there. All it means is there's more electrons moving around. That's really what that means. The absorption prediction here, I'm not going to show you that either because nothing shows up on it. So I'm not going to waste your time on that one. Now here's the model I was telling you guys where, with the jet engine analogy. We're probably not going to see a whole lot here. Notice the colors. Okay? We're down here. This is slow stuff, guys. I've not seen nothing like this multiple times over and over and over again for days at a time. This is something new that I have not seen. Now, I'm not saying it hasn't been seen before, because it probably has. We've all seen low solar wind speed events, but not 3 events in a row, and for it to last this long is kind of strange. So as we look at this over here with the density, same thing. Okay, remember, all this is showing you is the change in density. It's not showing you anything else. That's what this part does. That's why when it hits the bow shock here, it kind of blends in. All that means is, you see it, our bow shock's still there, you just can't see it. Because all the particles in that area are of the same density. That's all we're looking at there. Okay? I've had, people come and tell me that they heard that our bow shock was down, and some other people were like freaking out. Our bow shock was never down, guys. It can't happen. If it did, we wouldn't be having this conversation probably. Because the only thing that's going to stop that, it takes 2 things to cause this bow shock. It takes a magnetic field, and it takes an interaction with charged particles, which is solar wind. The point where those 2 meet is what causes our bow shock. So in order for that thing, if it was to actually go down, one of those 2 things, or both, would have to go away. And it's not going to happen. We would have to completely lose our magnetic field, or the sun would have to quit sending charged particles at us, which isn't going to happen. Again, we wouldn't be having a conversation right now if that was the case. Okay, so here's the pressure. I'm not going to waste much time on this because it's not going to show us much. Okay, it's just so quiet, it's kind of nuts. So we'll take a look at this. This is the Australian model, and again, this is the most simple one that I like to show everybody because it's easy to understand. You got the density here, you got the wind speed here, you got the BZ here. Now remember, when the BZ is in the negative, that's when the particles and stuff kind of flow in. Makes it easier for it because of the angle. Now when it's in the positive, it actually is the opposite. The angle's not, inducive of bringing the particles in. So we'll watch that again. And, you're going to see it jump around a little bit. See that? So what you're seeing there is the density's jumping up, not the speed. Notice how the speed's staying under 300. I mean, that's slow, guys. I'm sorry. It is. That's slower than normal. Here's the CME tracker. This is not the same as that Enlow model I showed you guys earlier. This is just tracking CMEs, and it did catch that one there, and it shot it off the back side. This isn't coming at us, but this also will show you too how that CME catches up with this. Watch and see what it does. It kind of merges with it, and they'll, obviously that's going to add energy. So if you look over here, here's Earth. Notice how that is nowhere near us. Okay. Here is the SDO captures. This is our view as if we went outside and looked up at the sun. The satellite's out in front of us about 1 million miles closer to the sun. So what you're looking at here again is just a better view of this, active area that will probably be named a sunspot as it becomes closer to Earth facing completely. Okay, it looks pretty strong, guys. This is that same active area that we watched it rotate off on this side before, and it blew a big flare that direction. Thank God it was going that way, because it was a significant one. It clocked in as an M flare, but a lot of people were, saying, hey, well, it was a high C class flare, I think. But a lot of the reports were coming in that if that thing had been completely facing us, that could have been a lot stronger than what was reported, because we don't have the same detectors and stuff off to this side of the sun as we got on the ones that are facing us. So that's why we don't get such an accurate depiction of how strong that actually was. We got a good idea, but it's not, if it's not coming at us, it's really not that big of a deal anyway. But so if I grab this, you can see stuff moving around. And watch this big area over here. Now again, I would challenge everybody to go back a year or two and look at the sun. It's not going to look nothing like this. We're getting active. And I explained this in my last video too. There is a reason that these things are closer to the poles right now. Nothing's happening on the equator. It's because of it's because of the rotation of the sun and how the magnetic field lines work on the sun. Okay, you got a north and south, right? Those lines are pretty much straight on a stationary object. This thing's rotating. So what it does is it pulls those vertical lines horizontal. And over time, it'll wind up tighter and tighter and tighter. So what you're seeing is magnetic field lines getting pulled horizontal and then wound up tighter and tighter and tighter, and they get closer and closer to the equator. And then finally they'll just snap back, and that's when we have our 11-year solar cycle. The polarity will flip on the sun. So that's what you're seeing when you see a sunspot. You're seeing a kink in that magnetic field line, and it's just poking out of the surface of the sun. That's what a sunspot is. So we got these we can look at real quick. Not going to waste too much time because there's not a whole lot going on here. Right now I'd be more concerned with the coronal hole issue and this other sunspot that's coming around the edge here, around the limb. This one's still, the one that's still facing us right here, it can still do stuff as it's facing us, but right now it looks pretty stable. Now here's our magnetopause models again. This is the older ones, but they're still valid in my opinion. We can at the very least look at these things and know when something doesn't look the same as it used to. That does point to something is different. Whether we want to say this is 100% accurate or not, I'm not even going to have that conversation. But we should all be able to agree that if this thing was here 10, 15 years ago and now it doesn't look the same, we got to understand that something's different. So I'll grab this and you're going to see again, hits. Okay, now that is quite a bit of energy hanging around our planet, and the reason is because the solar wind speed is not fast. So it's allowing that stuff to stick around. And then there's a decent hit, okay? So that energy comes in, we get hit, see our bow shock how it compresses in. Now note that it doesn't get inside the satellite line like a lot of times that it does. This was a higher dense hit and not so much a solar wind speed issue. If that had good speed right along with the density, this probably would have been inside of our satellite line. But anyway, we get hit. Let me show you. We get hit, we compress, and then we rapidly expand. That's what happens. We push back, and then bam, and then it kind of goes back to the same signature. Okay? So if we keep moving, notice how everything kind of quieted down. See? After that one last hit right there, everything just went quiet. And it was only one hit. So I'm not quite sure what actually caused that, but, you know, here's the lines, the magnetic lines that we look at. The blue ones are our connection to the sun, interplanetary magnetic field lines, you know, and other celestial objects. And we oftentimes wonder why they start doing this crazy stuff. And, you know, there's a lot of theories out there. I'm not going to get into that today, but, you know, this is a decent hit right here. Notice how directional it is. Okay, and then things just mellow right back out. So, yeah. This is the wind speed. Now I'm going to show you guys something on this one. As we get over here. Remember, I've been showing you guys down here. Let's go back and look at this one just for a second. You see this? Notice how it ain't the same intensity as up here. This is mimicking that right here. And I noticed it because it didn't used to look like that all the time. Okay, and there's the hit. Now look, I'm not, you know, this is supposed to be the wind speed. I'm not really sure how accurate that is again. But if we look at that, it doesn't change much. Okay, we go from 300 to 450, it looks like, maybe 440. That was it. And it caused a hit like that. That's, you know, it shows that our magnetic field is getting weaker, number one. Number two, it shows that density itself, not necessarily speed, will cause these hits sometimes. Now watch this, okay, as I go forward. You're going to see like these, this area that is more red or yellow. You're going to watch it rotate around. Watch. See how everything kind of migrated? So, you know, I don't know, you know, it's got to be magnetics of some sort causing that. There's nothing else that really could. So, yeah. CME tracker, we're not going to see much here, guys. I mean SDO and SOHO here. SOHO is showing us the LASCO C2. Again, this is still our view. We're not seeing much going on right now. Geoelectric field. I'm just going to pause that because guess what? Nothing much is happening here either. We got a little bit of right there. That was it. Okay. Those are quick little flashes. That's not going to do nothing, guys. Okay. Earthquakes. Okay. We had this one over here. That was a 6-1. That's the most significant one that we had in the past, I guess, what, 24 hours or more. We got these other ones too happening, and these are all, excuse me, 2.5 or above. Now watch what I do. What happens when I change to all magnitudes? See how stuff appears? Now watch this. I'll show you 7 days, all magnitudes. That gives you a better picture of what's actually happening. You can definitely see where the earthquakes are swarming. Okay? You can see a clear, like, defined area that these are just like circling. Now I know this is the edge of the North American craton. Dutch has been talking about that a lot. You know, it kind of goes up the coast there, and if you look at it, look what it's doing. Okay, it's following that. So something's moving there, you know. And I think what's going on is we're getting some some magma moving around underneath. There's been a lot of channels talking about that. Ron's talked about it over at Emergency Management. He's up here, and but he does a good show, guys. Ron Tyler. So I would, point you guys over to his channel to check out some earthquake stuff. and Dutch too. Okay, Dutch, obviously everybody knows who Dutch is. Most people probably follow him already. But Ron does a really good job of explaining things. And Ricky, if she's in here, she's up there too, guys. Everything that she's ever told me about earthquakes has come true. So I do trust what she says. Now, this is something new that Menacing has sent me a link. Menacing Muskrat. She is, and notice like I said she. I was using the male form there, of the pronoun, because I thought she was a dude. But, she wasn't. She corrected me. I don't like doing that, but it is what it is. It was a mistake, obviously. But as we're looking at this is the earthquakes in Canada. Now, I don't know much about navigating this yet. That's recent earthquakes. Let's yeah. It's even got seismographs. So, but we'll be able to see the Canadian earthquakes now. I wonder. There we go. That's what I wanted to show you. That's the last 30 days. Now, if we go over to USGS, you ain't going to see none of this. Because it's up here. Notice how we don't see anything here. That's why. See? Everybody was always asking, why don't we see stuff off the coast of Canada? Do the earthquakes jump down the fault line? No, they don't, because the earthquakes are still happening right along here. It's just USGS is not reporting them. And that's proof of it. Right there. So thank you, Menacing, for sending me that link. Okay. Again, guys, I want to point out, we had this one that they missed, near Earth object. And then, you're going down through here, and some of these are going to change. There's going to be more added, and I'll keep you guys updated on it. But I would suggest you guys go over here and check this out yourself too. We've had 18 fireballs. We are in a meteor shower right now. Okay. Look at this aurora, though. I want to show you guys this real quick. Do you guys see how this is dead nuts? Oh, sorry. Over top of the North Pole. We haven't seen it look like that in a long time. So, why is that happening? Is my question. Because it's offset usually because we're tilted. Geographically the Earth will tilt. We all know that, right? But magnetically, things can move different, and it's been moving up this way towards Siberia. So this aurora signature technically really does kind of follow magnetic north. Not all the way, but it does influence it. It's usually kind of offset this way. So this is over here, and I thought that was really strange. I hadn't seen it look like that in a long time. Okay. So, I got an email today. Actually, I think it was it 2 days ago, maybe? Maybe 3. I can't really remember. I have to go back and look. But, Jorge, if you're out there, buddy, shout out to you, man. He's one of our subscribers from down in Mexico. And he asked me, he said, hey, why do hurricanes spin the direction that they do? So, I went and did my little research, the stuff that I do, and we're going to take a look at that. Why? Actually, I'm going to bring the chat up too. Everybody still okay in there, guys? Okay, so First thing we got to understand is that low pressure and high pressure act different. A hurricane is low pressure. All right? So in the northern hemisphere and in the southern hemisphere, they're going to spin opposite directions because of what they call the Coriolis effect. Essentially, it's just because of our spin, our rotation of the Earth. Now, you got to understand that when you're looking at that, they're taking it from, you got to put yourself like looking directly down on the North Pole and the South Pole. Okay? So, in the northern hemisphere, this explains why right here. Okay? Explains to you what's going on. In the northern hemisphere, in a low pressure system, the wind will move towards the center. Okay? The high pressure system, it actually moves away from the center. So giving the Coriolis effect, if you're looking from the north or the south pole, they're going to spin different. So basic rule here, guys, is remember this right here. Winds around a low pressure system turn the direction of the Earth's rotation. So if you look from the top, from the North Pole, things look like they're moving counterclockwise. Okay? That's the way the hurricanes spin in the northern hemisphere. Now from the southern pole, it looks as though that they're turning clockwise. That's why. Okay, that's why we see this. And to give you just a little extra here so you guys got a visual, we'll go over here to windy.com and if you look, okay, now let me zoom in here a little bit because I want you guys to understand this because you have to understand that when you're looking at this, looking at these maps and stuff, you have to go down here and you got to change your key. Okay, you see down here where it says pressure, I can click on that and it takes them off there, right? So we don't know what's low pressure and high pressure. I just, like I just showed you guys that they spin different. High pressure will spin clockwise in the northern hemisphere. Low pressure will spin counterclockwise. So you got to put your pressure on there. Okay? So that's what's going on with that. That's why this is a high pressure. This is the northern hemisphere. That's why it's rotating clockwise. Now, the reverse of that, let's go over here and check out the hurricane. What direction is it spinning? It's spinning counterclockwise because it is low pressure. Okay, the winds are moving towards the center here. In a high pressure, they're moving away. And what makes them do that is the Coriolis effect, our rotation. Okay? So I hope that helps you out, Jorge. I really do. That's a really great question because, most people know that they spin the same direction, but they don't know why. Now, there are anomalies to this. We've had hurricanes spin the wrong direction. Okay? And there's a lot of theories on why that happens. I guess if the storm system itself is strong enough, I guess it can kind of overcome that. I don't know. But, that is what it is. So that's the explanation for that, guys. I hope everybody understood that. So I guess what I'm saying is if you just kind of keep just remember this rule of thumb right here. Okay? Winds around low pressure systems turn in the direction of the Earth's rotation. And winds around a high pressure turn in the opposite direction of the Earth's rotation. Okay? So in the northern hemisphere, low pressure, counterclockwise. high pressure, clockwise, and then vice versa in the southern. Okay? I really do hope that helps. It's a very common question people have. And, every so often we'll see one spin the wrong direction, and it is odd. Okay? I don't know what causes it, again. It's an anomaly that does happen. But, if you go through here and look right now, I'm not seeing any of that right now. Okay? Because here's the low pressure. See where we're at. Oh my goodness. Okay, now see here's a good example. Here's Australia. Here's a low pressure. Which way is it spinning? It's spinning clockwise, right? But if we go over here to our hurricane in the northern hemisphere, it's spinning counterclockwise. So I really hope that helps everybody. But Jorge, I really do, man. If you got any more questions on that, just hit me up and I'll try to help you out, okay? But I appreciate your questions. I really do, guys. So, but anyway, guys, I am going to go ahead and call it a day on this one. I will see you guys later on tonight. Thank you guys for being in here. If you guys have any questions before I leave, type them in there real quick and I'll try to get to them quickly. And as you guys are doing that, let me do this too real quick. I want to show you guys something just real quick. Let's go down here. So if you guys go down to my description, I got a PayPal link in there for Dr. Albers. If you guys want to help Scott and stuff out. And Dr. Albers. But I put one in there for myself too. I've been pushing back against this because I don't really like doing this. But everybody was asking where they could help, where they could donate or whatever. And I dropped this last night, just kind of at the end of my stream. And man, you guys are awesome. Within like 15 minutes, it was like I was getting donations. But what I need you guys to do, if you guys are going to donate to the PayPal, either email me and tell me it was you, or what I'm going to do right now, I got some, because it does give you the name, but it doesn't, I can't match it up to the YouTube name, and I don't want to put somebody's info out there. So what I'll do is I'll probably just type in everybody's name and the last initial, and give you guys some thanks that way, because I don't want that to go left unthankful. You know what I mean? Also, somebody was asking about a P.O. box. I got a P.O. box too. It's in here. Okay. Again, I'm not going to monetize my channel, guys. That's something I won't do, and I really hope you guys understand that, because it ain't why I do this, and I've explained this before. I'm not going to go into some big, long explanation, but again, if you guys, Arizona, I don't have a Zelle or a Cash App. My wife might. I might talk to her and see what she's got going on with that. I guess I could start one. It's probably not that hard. But again, guys, I appreciate it. I'm humbled that you guys even want to do that. And I'm not going to sit here and keep mentioning it all the time either. That's not what's going to happen. Just know that it's down there if you guys want to help, or just try to support and do whatever. I will say this, I do put a lot of time into this. It does actually, believe it or not, guys, it costs me money. I have to get stuff for it, but that's still, I didn't even want to do that anyway, but I kept getting asked and all that kind of stuff. And I ain't going to say that I am going to feel like I don't deserve it, because I think that, I do put a lot of time and effort into this, and I think some of it is deserved, but I'm not going to, beat people over the head with that kind of stuff. I'm not going to put any of that on you, because even if I didn't have that down there, you guys know that I would still be doing this. Because the reason for this is to do something good. So I really hope you guys understand that. And, people I wouldn't even be doing this if people hadn't kept, like asking me, how can I help? I really like it and all this and that. And, I got to thinking, and my wife said it to me, and she's like, if they, if they're wanting to help you, you're taking a blessing away from them if you don't let them. And it kind of put it in perspective for me. It's not really about the money, it's more about just wanting to help somebody from you guys to me, and I'm so humble that you guys would even want to do that. But again, thank you guys so much for everything that you guys have given me, more than I could ever get monetarily. I'm serious. I've made more friends here than I ever thought I would. You guys listen to my learning process, is what I call it, because it is. It's a continuous learning process for me, and I learned a lot of stuff just from you guys. I never would have went in and looked at, I knew about the low and high pressure thing already because I was a weather nut when I was a kid, but I never would have went and looked at that stuff if somebody hadn't asked me that question. Thank you, Candace. I appreciate that. I really do, guys. So, again, guys, I'm not going to come out here and say it every video. I'm not going to come out here and start blasting it like that. If somebody asks, I'll tell them. I might mention it every so often just so people know it's there. If people send something to my P.O. box, if it's a whatever it is, we see these like unboxing videos and stuff on YouTube. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I just, if it does, I will definitely, open it up on camera so you guys can see it. I think that would be the only right thing to do. So, oh man. So yeah, guys, I will look into the Cash App thing and Zelle, I guess. I'm not really familiar with those, but it's probably easy, I would think. But anyway, guys, God bless. I'll come back on later on tonight, guys. Thanks to my mods and all the subs. Thank you guys so much. Yahusha saves, and you can drink this